like to thank Aubrey for inviting me here today. It's certainly an honor. And having come from a traditional biological background, the last few days have certainly been pretty inspirational. So I work for the nonprofit organization called the TerraSem Foundation, and probably the most common question I've gotten at dinner since I've been here is, what does TerraSem mean? Terra is Latin for earth, and sem is seed, earth seed. So this organization was founded by Martine Rothblatt, and she was the principal investigator of this project. What I'm going to present to you today is the what, why, and how of the Lifenaut Project as within the context of the long-term session that this is a part of. And I'm going to sort of follow the thought sequence that went into its design and implementation, since this is the only talk on machine consciousness here. Okay, so I'd like to sort of preface my talk by saying that I've always had the conviction that that science is highly contextual. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think in all the talks we've seen here, or many of them, it's actually what kind of catalyzes progress. You know, I've seen the data presented and this sort of onslaught of people viewing that same data with, from different perspectives and different contexts, and so it's that sort of theme of context that I plan to carry throughout my talk, and this is an illustration of that kind of idea of context. I don't know if this is apparent or not, but there's a Dalmatian here. This is its head, legs, and so it's that theme of context that I think there's a frame of reference for this talk. So the hypotheses that we were challenged with, I took this position on 3 years ago with the TerraSem Foundation, was to investigate with using designing and developing a software system that could investigate these hypotheses. Obviously, the second hypothesis is can be taken into consideration, but couldn't be something we could investigate right now. So what I'm going to talk about is the thought process that went into the design and implementation of the software that went into investigating this hypothesis. Okay, so also as kind of a preface, you know, is this science fiction, or is it really reality? Well, once we kind of looked into this, we're not the first ones that are trying to do this. There's actually a professional academic organization that holds regular conferences on personality capture. Gordon Bell from IBM is a real common figure. Steve Mann from the University of Toronto has also been developing personality capture technology, but we really wanted this software to be available to the masses. The sense cam that Gordon Bell is developing, and these contraptions that Steve Mann is producing are not really they're expensive, and you know, wearing something like this while going grocery shopping wouldn't be you know, necessarily too easy for our users. So what about intelligence and computation? It sounds like completely diverse things, the biological realm and computers. The reality is that we're already there. There's already some really wonderful things that are going on with neural implants. This is Richard Nagel, unfortunately the victim of a random act of violence. He was stabbed in the neck and paralyzed from the neck down. He volunteered to be a part of a experiment with John Donahue from Brown University, my alma mater, and he was able to compose, send emails, navigate the internet just by thinking about it. In the private sector, companies like G-Tech are rapidly evolving BCI's, brain-computer interfaces. And what about machine consciousness? That also may sound kind of odd at first. Some more data points. Well, just a couple of months ago, the International Journal of Machine Consciousness was released, which I think is a significant data point, and you know, obviously this kind of sets our nascency a little bit more to the present from the birth of SENS, but nevertheless, there's an established machine consciousness community of academics that meet on a regular basis, and of many of those projects, here are a few. Novamente, Ben Goertzel's project, where they are attempting to replicate using an artificial general intelligence engine, trying to replicate the stages of Piaget's stages of development, and then two projects trying to reverse engineer the brain, the massively collaborative Blue Brain project, and the Silicon Valley startup by Jeff Hawkins, Numenta. So these are all kind of part of the context of what we were embarking upon. Same thing with the field of robotics, you know, in its very early stages, but with the sort of ultimate goal of in some cases, of trying to replicate human-like consciousness. So, and it's okay to chuckle a little bit on this one. What are the implications? I don't think it's an illogical question to think about. What, you know, if there are all these scientists and computer engineers and people collaborating on trying to replicate human consciousness, where does that bring us? Is that another stage of evolution? Is it a new domain? These are the kinds of things that we were thinking about. What is life? How does it all fit in? So we looked at some of these basic things. We looked at some definitions for life, and it's kind of interesting that the topic of entropy is second law of thermodynamics has come up in the last couple of sessions here. I think that I agree with Dr. Yin's perspective that entropy increases along the axis of time, but Schrödinger, who proposed a definition for life as a system that decreases entropy in a localized sense, is according to the axis of environment rather than time. The definition for death, we kind of adhere to